Hi guys, this is Mark. In my previous video, we reviewed how to request specific properties to be included in the response when you run a query into the BackEndless database. And in this one, we will review the opposite configuration, where you can specify which properties should be excluded. Whether you use inclusion or exclusion, it will vary from one use case to another. So for instance, if you have a table that has a lot of different columns and properties and only some should be excluded, then the list for exclusion would be shorter. Or if you want the ones to be included and only specific ones, then you could work with the option that I discussed in the previous video. But both options are available, and it's completely up to you how you would use them. There is no exclusion options in REST console. So here, as you saw in the previous video, you can specify which ones should be included. But let's take a look at it from the API perspective. And for this, we will go to UI Builder, and whatever we do in Codeless it's the same process will work for regular APIs that we have in our SDKs. So here we will use exactly the same page that you already have. Let's switch to the logic screen for the page. This is what we have so far, where we identified that these properties should be included. We will disable this block, so right click and click disable. So now there is no specific properties that are being included. And then notice that there is a connector that is called exclude properties. So in the exclude properties, we can identify anything that should not be returned to the client. This connector expects a list, so we can just copy this block. And let's configure it with the following. So first of all, let's say that object ID, it is not needed. Created field is not needed. And I will discuss what created and object ID are in just a second. Additionally, there is another one that is updated. So all these three columns are system level columns that are going to be there in every single table. They are created by BackEndless. Object ID uniquely identifies a record. Created is a datetime column that has a timestamp when that record was created. And updated is another datetime column that identifies when that record is updated. We haven't really talked about the data update API. That will come in handy when we discuss this. By the way, when you imported the data from the zip file that is provided, the created column is already there, so that the database maintained the data that was in the imported data. But still, whenever you create a new object in BackEndless using the API, the created column will have the timestamp, the date and time when that object was actually saved in the database. And then here, just for fun, let's also add a column that is actually rendered in the UI, such as title, for instance. So you'll see the effect of what's going on. Let's run this page. And as you can see, the product name, which is title, is missing simply because that data did not come back to the client. We excluded that property. Let's reload the page and take a look at what the response includes. So here, these are the properties that are coming back. As you can see, object ID, created, updated, and title are not here because we excluded them from the response. Well, we instructed the database to exclude them from the response, and as a result, they're not coming back. Very easy to understand. These two properties and exclude properties, they just cancel each other. What happens if you specify a property in the property list and in the same property in the exclude properties? I'm not sure. Let's give it a try and see what happens. So here in the enable block, let's just simplify them just so we can see how that would work. And I'm gonna clean up this a little bit because there is a lot of disconnected blocks. And let's reconnect properties, and let's duplicate this for the exclude properties. So for instance, we're including title and we're excluding title. This would be, if you end up with something like this, I would say this is a bug in logic, because it doesn't really make sense to include something and exclude something. But I'm curious what's going to happen in this case. Let's run this page, and actually this ended up with an error, because it says that the where clause is invalid. So now you know, when you include and exclude the same thing, this results in an error, and that really should not be happening. Anyway, I hope this makes it clear what exclude properties functionality is. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, happy coding.